Greetings, dear friends. Your invaluable support is our strength. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. This greatly helps the growth of our channel. Leave your comments. Your feedback is very valuable to us. And now, to the most important and current world events. Let's go.
The bells of St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican rang out due to the death of Pope Francis. This morning he passed away after a prolonged illness. The pontiff was 88 years old. The bells of Notre Dame Cathedral rang the same number of times. More details about the death of Francis, his activities as the head of the Roman Catholic Church, and who might become the next pope later in our broadcast. On RBC, the main news. In the studio, Anna Krupina. The Ukrainian army reduced the intensity of combat operations along the entire front line during the daytime truce. This was stated by the Russian Ministry of Defense. The Easter truce was announced on Saturday by President Vladimir Putin. Later, the Ukrainian leader Volodymyr Zelensky also agreed to it. It was in effect from 6 o'clock in the evening on April 19th and ended today at midnight. According to the ministry, the country's army maintained the ceasefire regime during this period, including in the Kursk direction, while Ukrainian forces struck at Russian military positions and civilian targets in border areas. Kyiv also accused Moscow of violating the truce. Today, the Russian Ministry of Defense stated that when this period ended, the country's troops resumed the special military operation.
You heard the statement from our Ministry of Defense, which is actually authorized to provide some assessment from a real point of view. There, an assessment was given, data on violations by the Ukrainian side. That's it. I have nothing more to add. This was an initiative, specifically the Easter initiative of President Putin.
The press secretary of the Russian president said the Kremlin is not ready to talk about the timeframes for resolving the conflict. This is how Peskov commented on the words of the American leader Donald Trump about Moscow and Kyiv making a deal this week. According to the press secretary, Russia continues to work with the USA and hopes that this will yield results. Peskov also said that Moscow will inform all interested parties, including Washington, about Ukraine's violations of the Easter truce. China is against deals by other countries that are concluded to the detriment of its interests. If this happens, Beijing will take countermeasures, according to a statement from the Ministry of Commerce of the PRC. This is how the department commented on reports about the U.S. plans to persuade partners to limit trade relations with China in exchange for easing tariff policies. The Wall Street Journal wrote last week, Washington may demand in particular that states prohibit Chinese companies from being based in the territories and supply goods through them. In the Ministry of Commerce of China, they said that Beijing has the ability to protect its interests.
Make sure that China, which he strongly beckoned, should adhere to the open-mindedness of a major power, regardless of what the United States does. China will strive to create a win-win situation from important political documents and meetings. It is evident that we are still persistently pursuing openness at a high level. We need to unite the majority and create a win-win situation. I believe that China has the strength and capability to lead the world to such an open situation where everyone benefits from competition.
As reported by the Financial Times, due to American tariffs, China's state funds have begun to reduce investments in private companies. With headquarters in the States, also amid the tariffs, China has started returning ordered Boeing 737 MAX planes to the U.S., writes Reuters. According to the agency, in less than a week, 2 planes have flown to the States. Reuters reported that American tariffs directly threaten the development of China's aviation industry. Foreign goods are more frequently being passed off as Korean exports, stated the South Korean Customs Service. This primarily concerns China. This is an attempt to avoid the extensive U.S. tariffs.
But mainly they are close to Chinsky. So in Chinsky, in Kyiv, South Korea is geographically close to China. We believe there are many instances where goods from China pass through it for disguised export attempts. Additionally, Southeast Asian countries may also be trying to route shipments through South Korea, and we see a growing risk of such cases arising in these regions.
In the first quarter, a violation amounting to more than $20 million was discovered, according to the Korean Customs Service. Shipments to the United States accounted for 97% of the total. In comparison, for the entire last year, violations amounted to $23 million, of which 62% of the goods were destined for America. South Korea plans to strengthen preventive measures against countries with high tariffs that attempt to trade through Korea, the agency reported. As a first step, a special task force has been created to prevent attempts at illegal exports. American tariffs are a key topic in the discussions between the U.S. Vice President and the Prime Minister of India. J.D. Vance arrived in New Delhi for a 4-day visit. U.S. President Donald Trump initially imposed tariffs of 26% on Indian goods. Then the rate was reduced to 10% during a 90-day pause in the tariffs enforcement. Meanwhile, the 25% tariffs remain in effect on all imports of steel and aluminum which are supplied, including from India. The USA is the largest partner of New Delhi, while for Washington the country ranks 10th. Trump repeatedly complained about the trade imbalance with India and accused it of unfair tariffs. Ahead of the negotiations, India reduced some tariffs from 13% to 11%. According to Reuters, the country is ready to reduce tariffs for 55% of American imports. India also plans to abolish tariffs on imported liquefied natural gas from the USA. In New Delhi itself, there is hope that the visit will boost bilateral relations, as stated by the country's media. Pope Francis has died after a prolonged illness. The pontiff was hospitalized in mid-February. Later, he was confirmed to have bilateral pneumonia. Francis was also diagnosed with kidney failure. Since the beginning of March, the pontiff's condition began to improve, and he appeared in public several times. His last appearance was yesterday's Easter message to Catholics worldwide from the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica. In his last speech, the pontiff called for a peaceful resolution of several military conflicts, including those in the South Caucasus and Ukraine. The Pope urged all involved parties to continue efforts to achieve a just and lasting peace. Francis made history as the first Pope from Latin America, as he was born in Argentina. He ascended to the Holy See in 2013, becoming the head of the Roman Catholic Church. Francis implemented significant reforms. He changed the laws of the Holy See, allowed women to hold high positions in the Roman Curia, and granted priests the authority to forgive the sin of abortion, which is considered one of the gravest in Catholicism. Pope Francis urged world leaders to combat poverty and inequality. And here is how Catholics from different countries around the world are reacting to the pontiff's death.
And there was more regret from such years on her Uchurim Subsarum Downs. I really wanted to go to Rome this time. And honestly, I was very surprised, even though he was in poor condition. We all feel sorry. I think he chose a beautiful day to die. Probably he is already in heaven.
Congratulations on the holiday. I am fighting for many rules. It's frustrating because he fought for many human rights. I can't believe it. I didn't know anything. I woke up half an hour ago, and I offer my condolences.
He was a great dad. I think every Christian should come here to say goodbye to him, especially because he was a major opponent of wars. He fought for peace.
A conclave will be convened in the coming weeks. This is a college of cardinals who manage dioceses around the world. They must personally come to the Vatican for the election, a new pope. The procedure takes place in the Sistine Chapel under strict secrecy. The room is locked and cardinals are not allowed to use communication devices. To win, 2/3 of the votes are required. If a new pontiff is not elected on the first day, then voting continues 4 times a day. The election is announced to the faithful by smoke from the chimney above the Sistine Chapel. If a pontiff is elected, the smoke is white. If not, it is black. Russians have increasingly reached peaceful agreements on alimony last year. Such agreements were made 21% more often than the year before last. As stated by the Federal Notary Chamber, the remote format of certifying an alimony agreement allows one not to meet in person with the former spouse. In total, in 2024, notaries certified almost 35,000 such documents. Agreements on the division of jointly acquired property increased by 5%. In the notary chamber, they say that after court fees increased, dividing property through a notary became more advantageous than through the court. These were the main news. Stay tuned to RBC.